Hello, everyone. I think this is the first time I've gone live in probably at least a year, I would guess. Anyway, I'm coming in here to update you all on why the podcasts have been kind of silent lately, and that is it's because we had some technical issues a few weeks ago with one of the shows, and then separate sound and audio issues a following week. So we had to do some editing. So Race Hobbs, the producer at KGRA Radio, had to work on those files. And then I got caught up with the holidays and the craziness of all that and got, behind schedule. So now I'm finally playing catch up, and I'll post all the recent episodes that you who listen to the podcast here only have missed on KGRA. But of course, you can always go to the KGRA website. That's the Paranormal page archive, and then just listen to any of the recent shows there. They'll always show up there first before they show up here in the podcast. And I want to say happy holidays to you all. Thank you so much for being supporters. And, I see the numbers going up little by little, and I can see people continue to tune into this program. So I appreciate you all. So we've got a couple of programs coming up. In particular, one that I really hope you'll tune in live, actually, on KGRA. Of course, I will post it here as well, so you can look out for that. But if you're, just need something to listen to on Christmas Eve, they're not doing much with the family at that time of night, then maybe tune into the live show. It's not actually live. It's a pre-recorded interview that will be streaming live. And what I love about this is I spoke to Ted Peters. He's a pastor and a professor emeritus at UC Berkeley in California. Now, he's been on the show a couple of times before, and he and I really have these great, I guess you can categorize them as philosophical conversations. And I love it. We just chat. I ask him questions. He asks me questions. And in this case, we'll actually be discussing Christmas Eve itself. We cover lots of different spiritual studies, religious studies. It can be Wicca, whatever, and we're open to it all. But on Christmas Eve specifically, we want to focus on the life, birth of Jesus Christ, and why so many people have found their way into that faith and what it means. And what do we think is historically true? And how much of it plays into the mythology of human nature? All across the world, people are attracted to myths of so many kinds. And there's something universal in all of those stories. That's what we discuss. We tap into why do our spirits resonate with these stories. Now, you might think that it's a true historically fact-backed story. Perhaps you believe that the four Gospels of the Bible are the gospel truth, and there is no ifs, ands, or buts. But of course, those of us who were raised with religion, we know that the four Gospels themselves don't entirely agree on the story. And then there's the Gnostic Gospels, which were studied by the earliest leaders of the Catholic Church and not included in the Gospels, and we now are more aware of them, and they also offer different aspects to the life of Jesus. But and I posed the question to Ted Peters, why are so many people into baby Jesus? What's so fascinating about, or why are we attracted to baby Jesus as opposed to just Jesus? Because baby Jesus is just a little baby. He hasn't done much yet. He hasn't spread the good word, as it were. And so we also discussed a little bit of the history of Santa Claus and, fact versus fiction. I think you'll really find it interesting. It's a great way to spend Christmas Eve, and I'm very lucky to have that conversation with Ted Peters. He covers the gamut and crosses over with the world of ufology. The first show that I interviewed with Ted was UFOs, God's chariots, ? And so he looks at everything from the perspective of a theologian. And so even the UFO phenomena, he draws parallels between mythological stories, even psychedelic trips to some degree, though that's really not his specialty, dream states, and how there are these overlapping correlations in the stories of UFO abductees and religious inspirations, divine contact from God or gods. So he's a really fascinating person to talk with. And for those of you who do listen to the podcast, I encourage you to listen to the show live Tuesdays, and then you can call in and ask me a question at any time during the last part of the second hour, and you can ask our guests the questions as well. That number is 85KGRA live, and you can always email me at Alan, ALAN, at paranormalnow.net in advance for your questions for an upcoming show. And I usually post about a day before on Facebook or on social media who that guest is going to be. I just found that if I post too many days in advance, nobody really pays much attention to it. I get more of a feedback if it's the day before or the morning of the show. Of course, you may beg to differ. So I'd like to hear your feedback on that as well. So that's pretty much it. So I'm going to get a whole load of shows up. So I've got 3 shows that'll be coming up over this weekend from Paranormal Now. One with Kathleen Martin, Terry Tabando. That was a really interesting show as well. Terry has a we'll say it's borderline. It's definitely speculative, and it's definitely borderline metaphysical. So it's not strict ufology, but he's worked with Peter Greer in the past, and we discussed the idea of contact and actually being able to make contact yourself, and I find that fascinating. And then following that, you have Kathleen Martin, who for the first time, not on the show, but the first time we discuss what does one do when you have an abduction experience afterwards. Who do you talk to? How do you manage that and the recovery of that and the years of actual therapy? There are people that Kathleen can refer experiencers to get therapy. So that was a really fascinating show. And of course, it's kind of hard to get any further or any closer to an expert on abduction than Kathleen Martin, not only with her studies on her own with Stanton Friedman, but she is the niece of Betty and Barney Hill. So yeah, there's that. And then also on the YouTube channel, Paranormal Pop, I have all these UFO coffee and UFO videos that I haven't transferred over to the podcast version yet here on Spreaker. And I'll be doing that this weekend as well. So I've got a lot of work ahead of me. I'm just have to squeeze it in now while I can, because the season, it has me distracted in a multitude of different ways, good and pseudo good, or pseudo bad, however you want to look at it. I choose to look at things half full. So I'm going to have a bunch of those episodes to upload, and then of course, once I get that done, then I'll get back to the Coffee and UFOs on YouTube and continue producing that series as well. Also, and last but not least, I almost forgot about this, on KGRA, what they are looking to do, it's preliminary, we haven't gotten to that point yet, but some of the hosts, like myself, will start live video streaming during the live radio broadcast. So that's going to take some time. I'm not really sure when that's going to come, but keep your eye out for that. And of course, I'll keep you posted. So that's it. This, other than the show that is pre-recorded and will play the evening of the 24th, this is, no, I've got another show before that. Anyway, I'm going to say happy holidays to you all. Happy Hanukkah. That's coming up soon. And Merry Christmas to those who celebrate as well. And until next time, live in the mystery.